It is.
Okay. Jake, please call the roll.
All right. Craig Kimberly,
Yep.
Brian Wiseman,
Here?
Carl English,
Here?
Robert Durance.
Here.
Missing board member? Not here. Have you guys all got a set of, what months have you got?
We've got October.
2 months worth of it?
I believe we only have October's here.
Over there?
I don't think we have
Just,
September's yet.
so this is August,
This is,
so you're gonna tax
oh,
it
this is October's,
this October?
yeah.
Okay, so did we get September yet?
No, that's the one we're waiting on,
Okay, so
September.
we Still haven't approved September, we're waiting on September. Okay. Well, you guys all have a copy of our minutes from
We did the September one's ready for October.
October.
That meeting.
Looks like there were 3 of us here. Does anybody have any issues with them? Problems, issues?
Nope.
Questions? Well, with that, can I get a motion?
I motion that we accept the minutes.
We got a motion, that's Bob.
I will second.
Carl, okay,
All right. Craig Kimberly,
sure, yes. Excuse me.
Brian Wiseman,
Yep.
Carl English,
Yes.
Robert Durance.
Yes.
Okay, that went through. Dave, along with everything else today, your report.
We're at that time of year when we have to be thinking about next year and the lease rental of our property to farmers. So I need to know whether, to what extent you want to mirror what we've done in the past, or do you want to change anything, or are we prepared to commit for 2023 to soliciting and having farmers farm our land? And that would be what, the Pine Township property, the Pleasant Township property, and Brookdale are the 3 that we have traditionally leased out to farmers. I guess the only mitigating circumstances would be if you think you're going to be in a position to start doing much of anything on those 3 properties, including, I guess, getting rid of them, if there's been some discussion about that, then we obviously ought to pause and not make a commitment to a farmer that we can't keep. But if we do feel that we have the year to farm, then you need to authorize me to proceed with that process, which is to solicit competitive bids from the farmers through a legal notice, and also I contact the farmers who are doing it now. They're the ones that have shown some interest in doing it. And we could have those in a position for you to make a decision. The farmers like it, the earlier the better. Let's say we could have this on the agenda of your January meeting to award those contracts. Thoughts?
Well, I guess if we're, I'm more than happy to put, without any really thought too much to it, is the Brookdale and the Pine, or the Pleasant Township property up to Dakota. Whereas if we are thinking, debating selling the other one, we may not want to put that up because that may change our ability to sell it or let somebody to take possession of it in order to farm it for the coming year.
I know it takes a crystal ball reading that none of us are capable of doing.
But I was trying to do it in the back of my, well, I can't remember what we rented Pine Township for last year, I think.
You know, I'm sorry I
I think
didn't bring that.
it was in the $200 range, I believe. I know it wasn't any much more.
I have a recollection that, and this is a city boy talking, I have a recollection that the Pine Township one is the least of our properties in terms of quality of farming.
That is correct. That is the worst ground we have for dirt. So, now, I guess refresh my memory on this. If we can take the other 2 out for bid, could we keep the Pine Township? And who rented Pine Township last year? Was it Rhoda? can we keep that one out and then just say, and,
You mean, and make a decision farther down the road?
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, we can do that. I know if we get out
2 deep.
much past
Yeah.
March, the farmers start complaining.
So we have some time to delay on pine.
I would.
Yeah, I don't want to speak for the farmer, you know, I think the opportune time to get the best proposals is now. In the sense that we'd award them in January, then they know the seed they gotta buy and the timing and everything else.
I would,
I suspect, I know in past years, we've gone out as far as March, and I got some complaints, but we went out and they still bid and they still farmed it, but I wouldn't go any farther than March.
I also, in dealing with a little bit of farm property on my end, I know that there's also sales with existing planting and farming and stuff like that. There's always a caveat that we can put in there, possible sale, but, you know, the owner won't take possession until after the harvest or stuff like that. There's things, that's just an option. I'm not
Oh, we
saying
could,
that, but
absolutely,
it's an
we
option.
could do that.
It's just an option.
I don't know how that affects the price that they're gonna offer us, maybe not much.
it may not affect it at all. I'm just, I mean, I have no qualms at all about the Pine Township and Brookdale, or excuse me, Pleasant and Brookdale. Pine Township's the one that, I
Well,
mean, if we, I mean, Brian brings up a great point, that if we do go ahead and rent it, when we sell it, it comes out with the caveat that, because right now, interest rates are up there.
And depending on what the farmer puts in, you know, that the harvest may be, if he's got winter wheat in there, that, you know, they could be taking possession of that in June or July, because that's when that harvest is, as opposed to corn or soybeans, which are later on in late summer and early fall. So, like you say, there's so many different variables in it, but I know that's just an option that we may have up to the board.
well, I think it's a good observation, and that may be the way we should go, but that's up to you guys.
And maybe the person who buys it is already farming it.
It's already farming, yeah.
That would be ideal, quite frankly, but, you know, now that Brian's reminded, you know, brought that up, I'm of the opinion we send them all 3 out.
With that caveat.
That if, well, if we do put up for sale, we put
Right.
up for sale that, yes, there's a,
On the selling end, not on the current farmer, but on the selling end.
yeah,
Yeah.
we have a farmer right now on
Good
it.
idea, Brian.
Possession will be taken.
If we didn't even put it up for sale until spring, by the time that went up and the entire process potentially saw itself through, they may not be too much short of harvest anyway before everything was
I mean, that's,
finalized.
yeah, 30 days, 30 days, 30 days.
If I remember right, it's $10,000 or $12,000 for Pine Township is what we rented it for, so
Is it that much?
I don't think it's that much.
I don't.
was
I
that the
don't-
entire, was that the entirety of what we make then?
Pleasant
Could have
Township, Pleasant Township goes off at 60 acres at about 330 an acre, 320 an acre.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I came from another meeting, I didn't have a chance
So
to bring
that's-
my
that's our
file.
big one,
I
is
could
Pleasant
answer those.
Township. The rest of them are like 2 something, and I think, and
63 acres?
it's not a total, it's not 63 farmable, it's like 46 farmable, because there's that, remember that little tree, that wooded area? There's a wooded area in it, and there's a ditch that crosses it.
Yeah, so there's
So,
land that's not farmable on it.
yeah, some of it's not.
Well,
I mean, the total.
46 times 210 is almost $10,000. So,
I'm
yeah,
not-
it's a good chunk of change that we would bring in as revenue if we held it for one more harvest.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not against any of that. I think it's probably a,
Jake, could we use 10 grand?
Could always use 10 grand.
all right, guys, what do you think? And I need a motion, whatever somebody wants to think.
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and proceed with all of them, and like we have in the past, like I say, we can go and make our decisions, and if and when we decide to sell one, that's gonna be between us and the buyer, not between the farmer. I wanna give those guys as much time to plan for the upcoming year with all the fluctuations of prices for seed and diesel and fertilizer and all that.
Is the cleanest way just to pick a possession after a certain date?
If we decide to sell, we will do that. Yeah, we take the possession in November.
Okay,
Is that-
and that's right, we don't have, until we
Till we make that decision,
have
that's,
a purchase agreement, yeah, we don't have, okay.
we don't have to know that.
All right, then we'll just go ahead and do the legal advertising and solicit the bids, and we'll consider them at your January meeting for all 3 properties.
So when will they be due? January or December?
Yeah, I mean,
I've had people call me, that's the only reason I'm asking.
yeah. Why don't we have them do, like, I don't have a calendar with me, but like,
December 1st is our next meeting on a Tuesday, on a Thursday.
yeah, I want more time than that.
Okay,
Like the
so
middle of the month.
So let's go.
15th, 16th, that's a Friday, December 16th.
Okay? December 16th.
Okay.
I got it. Friday, December 16th is when they'll be due.
And they'll be doing your office,
And that'll,
right?
yeah, and that'll be almost 3 weeks for us to look at them before we'll award them at the January meeting.
Anytime on the business day on Friday, December 16th. Or 5.
Okay?
Perfect.
That's the motion?
That is the motion. Inform the present farmers that it's going back out for bid. There's the motion. Do I get a second?
I'll second it.
Got a second.
All right.
I think we've had enough discussion.
Craig Kinwood,
Yep.
Brian Wiseman,
Yes.
Carl English,
Yes.
Robert Durance.
Yes.
Okay, the other thing I have is, and I've emailed you in this, is that it's also the time of year when you consider what you want to do for legal services for next year. We have traditionally done it at the November meeting simply because if you choose to change the legal services, doing it at the December meeting is not enough time for me to transition to whoever you employ. So we normally look at this at the November meeting. I forwarded to you a proposed contract for my continuation, if that's what you are desirous of doing. It's identical to previous year agreements, including the $12,500 pay. It does have, as they always do, $140 per hour rate for matters that you deem extraordinary. In the case of the park board, that's a rare occurrence. And then the only comment I would make is, I thought I caught wind of the fact that there might be an effort to increase the $12,500, but we checked on the budget and it didn't look like that happened. So that's why it stays at, I think it's been at $12,500 for like 6 or 7 years.
It was 12,000 when I got on the board, just to give you an idea.
That's
It
10
was
years.
12,000 for a very, very long time.
Mr. Hollenbeck, how long have you been our attorney?
How long have I been the attorney for the park board? I have been the attorney for the park board since the baby was born.
You've got a pretty good handle on things.
It's the only lawyer you've had. I hate to admit how old I am, but, you know, does the name John Schnurline mean anything to you?
Yep.
John was a big park advocate, and I remember cringing when he stood before the county council. He wanted a park department so bad. He said on the record, "Just give us a park department. We don't care if you give us any money or not." And guess what they did?
Make his wish come true.
So I worked the first couple of years with no money because there was no budget for the park department.
What year did the park board? or the
You're going to
park
ask me that, and I started looking, and I don't have all my contracts. Let me see.
Mid-80s?
Yeah.
Done on a Xerox machine.
Yeah,
Mid-'80s.
40 years ago.
hired monks,
I think about it.
mid-80s.
It was still in mimeograph, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been
Answer any questions you may have, but
here 11
I think you do need to give some thought to this and decide what you want to do.
years.
don't know that there's really much discussion or
Well,
thought that
we
goes
need a
into it,
motion.
do we?
Make a motion.
Well, I would love to make a motion to have Mr. Hollenbeck continue to be our attorney.
Need a second?
So I second this.
We have a second. Now, do we have any further discussion or questions for Mr. Hollenbeck?
No, I would like to say thank you for your years of service to the park board.
Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, Craig Kenworthy,
Yep.
Brian Wiseman,
Yes.
Carl English,
Okay.
Robert Durance.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I have 3 copies that I would ask.
Okay.
Sign.
Oh, look at this. You feel like-
In triplicate.
Maybe for
So we've got plenty of copies floating around.
Pretty heady, don't you think? Coming over with signed copies?
You didn't fill out the day, though.
I will fill out the date.
Okay, the date. I'm sorry, sir.
Thank you.
Fixing my English, aren't you? That's for my father. Okay, does that conclude?
That's the end of my report unless there are questions.
All right, Jake,
All right.
you're up.
All right, so we'll go through the staff report here. So one of the big things is the demo and cleanup of the last storage shed at Brookdale has been completed, so that side is clear. We've also begun the process, it's actually pretty well finalized at this point, of transitioning Tyler into a hybrid work schedule, so she works out of the main office as well as out of Sunset. So we're moving more of our admin and leadership staff into the county building. The work order system is now fully live. We had some technical hiccups towards the end of last month getting the rest of the connectivity, but it is up and running now. We've actually attached a copy of our existing work orders into the packet as well, so you can kind of see what I've got them tasked with this for the next few weeks. I worked with Matt to establish a new style of management for the maintenance program. I wanted him to transition to a more hands-on style of management of the maintenance crew as opposed to the historic hands-off style that has been going on. And he's responded well, he's answering the call on that one, so they're moving in a good direction. And additionally, I've tasked Matt and Tyler both with providing me weekly staff assignment reports for their respective crews so we can see what they're doing in the field on a week-to-week basis. We know what the assignments are, we know what's getting done, what's not getting done, who's performing and who's not. Just to give them some additional supervisory tools, reporting tools, so we can stay more on top of things as we go forward. And then one of the things I'm working on is analyzing some of our unused assets to determine possible future use. So we've got the 700 house, we've got the Smith property houses, so we're looking at those. I've already got some maintenance work getting done out at all those properties right now. I'm working with Becky and Tyler both on, towards the end of the year, we're gonna run a cost analysis, community impact, and all the programming. We're gonna see what's working, what's not working, what we can improve, and where we need to make some changes to make ourselves better. I'm working with Tyler to continue establishing partnerships for the animal program. We found someone to work with the turkeys. They've taken the turkeys for a 4-H educational process for sustainable farming. So the turkeys have been passed off. And then we're also looking into finding some community partners to take the winter care of the animals off of our plate. Is a big thing. And then also trying to roll the animal program and the community garden together as an educational function, as a seasonal educational function, and then offload that work in the winter to hopefully a community partner. And then, so the 2023 general fund, the approved amount was $657,459, so it's a total increase to our general fund of $86,771. So we did get some additional funds. It was nice. The council was incredibly supportive and receptive of a lot of our requests. So Jackie's been meeting with the respective staffs for projects assigned for 2023 to begin moving those things forward already, to begin streamlining some of those work order processes, and then as well as training more of our staff on active, both for reservations, rentals, running the financial reports, and being able to track their respective works. Cross-training is a big thing. Part of the reason I moved Tyler into the main office was to get more people trained on our software systems. All right. Not much going on with grant activity. We did apply for the Rotary Club grant for some programming and education supplies. Department events trunk or treat was a success in terms of visitation. It was highly visited. Every sponsor ran out of candy about halfway through because we under-anticipated attendance, so that was a good problem to have. Financially, though, it was a negative event. Our expenses were too high. We had too high of an outlay. We're going to finish getting those numbers ready, and we'll have those by the next meeting. But we can fix that. It was a good event. Participation was higher. Attendance was higher. Positive feedback. So we can fix the expenses thing pretty easy and make that a good event. Master plan update. Currently reviewing a draft now, and I believe I've sent that out to some of you, and then I've also sent out the community participation email. Hopefully we can get some participation from the public, from elected officials. Hopefully we can get some people on board at the public forum and get some additional input. Other than that's the final step before I can formally propose a draft of the master plan to the board. And whoever else I need to submit that to as well. So budget, end of year spending priorities are being established for building and structures. Myself, Jackie, and Matt have established a lot of those goals already. PM inspections and servicings and essential repairs are being scheduled for the mowers, vehicles, and trailers. And then I think I said the budget's attached. All right. So the recreation reports of the youth cross-country program began August 31st. Let me get my tongue untied here. Ended up with 117 kids, ages 4 to 12, so it was a big hit. We had a good popularity. And then we had participations at all the meets from Porter County Parks, Valpo Y, and the Portage Y. The acrylic painting programs are still being well attended. One of the things Becky is working on for future use is we're reestablishing our partnership with the library to move that class to the Porter County Library to offload some of that from using our building, as well as to further build partnerships in the community. The library is also wanting to partner with the trunk or treat next year as well, so they may become a long-term sponsor with us. Programs, so they had a successful fall field trip season. I believe they had a field trip every day, if I remember correctly. Throughout the winter, the program staff is going to be continuing to do the Parks to Schools, where they go into classrooms, I believe in the K through 5, and talk about recreation, natural resources, education, and other park activities. It has been one of Tyler's big pushes is getting our involvement in the schools more active, more heavy, getting our name out there as something that the schools can use and work with us on. And then we're currently planning for the 2023 camp. And then we're also looking for ways to expand our programming to outside of Sunset Hill. Since that's where the bulk of it is, we want to expand out to Brinket Cross, to Brookdale, and if we can get somewhere into the South County as well. So operations, a lot of that has been the work order system and the tickets that they're focusing on now, as well as they got the split rail fencing replaced at Brookdale. They got the playhouse tore down, and they've begun setup for the display. We're now done with mowing, so we're going to be sending a lot of the vehicles and the equipment and things like that back in for servicing. Marketing and public relations, trunk or treat went well. The event grew from previous years, so that was nice. And then we're still short that events and rentals coordinator position, but I don't intend to fill it with the hope that we'll offload that work either onto that full-time position if we're able to eventually get that through. And then we can also, because we're changing the way we do events, it's going to be governed more committee-wise, so I don't have to have somebody fully committed to just events, but the rentals part should slow down, hopefully, and we can do less of that. And any questions, concerns?
You said that the equipment's gonna start being taken in to get serviced?
Yep.
It actually physically gets taken to a rigs or to a,
We're gonna take, because we have mostly Kubotas, we can use rigs. And so we're either gonna use rigs or be somebody else depending on what they can quota service-wise, and have them go through the oil, the fluids, the belts, the gears.
so we don't have anybody that does that?
We can change the oil, but some of it's, I'm trying to keep them on maintenance tasks and
Okay.
away from taking time to do
Okay.
that.
Well, obviously, it gets very expensive when you have somebody else do that stuff.
Yeah,
so
we do have
hopefully we're
one-
getting a fairly good rate.
Yeah, that's why, that's why I'm talking 2 rigs to see what they can actually quote us on a service.
All right.
But one of the things, we have one that the steering column is busted and can't go backwards. And then one is alignment is off, so in order to go straight, the handles have to be off-centered. And then for whatever reason, it has less power on one side. So we have 2 that need repairs. The rest of them, I just want to get inspected and make sure there's nothing catastrophic about to happen with them. But most of the general stuff we do in-house, blade sharpening, we can do the oil changes and things like that in-house.
Jake, I'd like to highlight the fact that the county wage study, the parks really benefited from what the county identified, and the point that they tried to aim to improve our salaries, at least in the short term this year, and the bulk of our full-time positions saw a 19 to 20% pay increase to the base salary, which is exactly what we needed to keep great people and compensate them as they should be. So I thought that was a fantastic result from that wage study for the parks, and hopefully that's just the first step.
Yeah, it was certainly nice to see, and it'll be a big motivator, I think, for the staff.
Proving that timing is everything. The guy shows up and we hire him, and he gets how much pay raise?
19%.
Well,
Mine
Jake's
actually
wasn't-
didn't change
Jake's
much at
wasn't
all.
as- Jake's wasn't as high, but the rest of the full-time staff
Okay.
Yeah, if you take mine out, everybody got 20%, and then one person got 19.
Wow.
Awesome.
I got,
That proves something that, I don't know what they paid for that study, but I could have given them the same answer for a lot less than they paid.
I think we all could.
They've been underpaying county employees. Well, just the methodology, all the years I sat up there as their lawyer, they'd go through their entire budget, set up every account for how much, and then wait to see if they had anything left over
To increase
to give to the employee. Well, that's a system that's going to fail.
Yeah, they recognize that.
Yeah, well, that's what
yeah,
they do.
they talked about that a couple of times
They
over
talked
the,
about it, and
Well, it's because I beat them over the head that they were doing it year after year after year.
Is that Becky?
yeah.
Becky?
Yes.
Thank you. All this, I mean, to look through this, the report you put together with the stuff from all the notes that people send you, that's only a handful of, I'm sure, of what you see and hear all the time. I don't know if you heard it from us. Thank you. Because the kids appreciate it, the parents appreciate it, and, yeah,
Yeah, we're turning out some runners.
good. That's good.
great job.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I know it's a lot of work.
Especially under the trying conditions we've had in the last couple of years.
Yes.
Hey, Jake, when you,
This team really came together over the last couple of years to
yeah,
put on a fantastic product for the
Yeah.
people.
yeah. When you say the atrium on here for repairs, is that at Brinka? Is that
Yeah.
what you're talking about?
Yep, that's the, almost looks like a garden room.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, good. It's a little dilapidated, isn't it?
Yeah, it needs some love, so.
Very kind, Bob.
It's aged.
It has suffered
Pretty
from
tough word.
neglect.
The PM thing, just going back to that, during the season, our people usually do
Yeah.
oil changes and all that, air filters, all those.
Yeah.
But this is strictly to make sure that everything is squared away, so we're going into next
Yeah,
year.
yeah, this is
Top
just,
quality.
yeah, this is just to catch anything that could be a problem at startup next year. During the season, they keep track of the hours and they change oil on a
Awesome.
regular basis.
Awesome.
Same thing with, and they sharpen the blades and they do the air
Yeah.
filters, things like that.
awesome.
Well, thank you, Jake and Jackie, because you guys have made some major strides in just a few months working together. It really shows.
Greatly appreciated.
Yeah, thank
It's a
you.
lot of her.
Hey Jake,
Yep.
I read in the paper today, and what I read in the paper sometimes is worth the paper, but according to the paper, we got $50,000 ARPA money for,
I read the same article. That was how I found out that number too. But yeah, so it looks like we are gonna get about 50,000 for some
Capital projects.
capital projects.
Jake sat right here and answered some hard questions very well to the council, and they had ARPA money at hand, and your abilities were able to convince them of our need, and that's a fantastic result, so.
Well, that's awesome.
I know we have a lot of equipment and trucks, vehicles that are
Yep, and
outdated.
that'll help us out a lot.
if we're gonna, this is kind of off the rail there, but we're talking about vehicles. I know the rest of the county departments lease their vehicles, the commissioners have got some kind of
Okay.
deal or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe it's since we're getting in better graces, I would say, with some of our elected officials after the first of the year, but I think it might be worth talking to them about it, if we could get on that same program.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something.
You drive through this parking garage out here and look at all these nice new vehicles, it's like, and we drive through
Yeah.
our parking lot out there and look at things that are held together with baling wire.
Yeah, I drive through this in the morning and then I'll go out to Sunset and see our truck that's got rusted wheel wells and
So,
a
I
plow
mean,
hook. But yeah, that is,
it might be a way to stretch our $50,000 in the.
yeah, and with the lease program, it would get us onto a cycle of stuff not getting
Good
old.
vehicles.
Yeah, it would get us into a much better place.
I know the commissioners were
A lot.
big advocates for that, so it's just a thought, you know? as-
Yeah, I
as we
would-
move into the next year and
It's worth the
start
conversation.
looking at, you know, what
Yeah,
we
I
are
would-
gonna do with that money and.
Yeah, I would like to lease especially the trucks and the SUV that we use for, traveling to schools and things like that, because that's our image. So if we can keep those, looking professional on that lease program.
Might be more cost efficient in the long run as well.
And yeah, the leases are typically cheaper on a year-to-year basis as opposed to a single outlay and trucks now go for 40 grand for a base model.
Yeah, 50 grand's not gonna buy much of a truck.
That's,
I
yeah.
hate to say that.
No,
But
yeah.
It's not gonna buy barely a 3/4 ton with a plow, and I don't know if it's gonna buy that.
I was gonna say, yeah, whatever we buy has to be able to push a plow, so it's at least gotta be that 3/4 ton. And yeah, that,
Four-wheel drive.
if we beg them, maybe it'll come at 47, but yeah, I don't wanna spend the entire ARPA money on the truck, so.
Please. All right.
I think that's all. Has anybody got any questions on anything?
Has there been any pushback from the work order process?
No, it is getting received quite well. I think they like it because it gives them,
Order.
it's provided structure that the system wasn't there to provide that previously. And, they go through their assignments and they go through the day. We've actually installed that kiosk. It is up and running at the maintenance shop at Sunset. So if there is downtime between assigned tasks, they've got stuff that I've specifically assigned to maintenance staff in general that they can pull tickets from. So that
Awesome.
they've got a constant running list of.
Does it date stamp them?
Yeah, it tells me when they were created, assigned, and then when they're closed out, so we can track.
And who and all that other stuff, so there's accountability involved.
Yep.
Awesome.
Not to be too, do they put the hours they spend on them, or is that too much Big Brother?
That.
I'm just curious. 'cause
Yeah, I
some of
don't
them
think
do,
our
some of
system,
them don't.
yeah, our system I don't think is that robust, but it does let me know when it was assigned and when it was
Okay.
closed out. And then there's internal notes that you can put on it too, so like if there's progress getting done, or like they're halfway on one, they can make notes in the system on it.
I think that's a big step.
It is.
That's a huge step. All right, if you're done, Jake?
Yep.
Last month, I believe, we memorialized this resolution. Drew Armstrong. I guess at this point, all we need to do is sign it.
Looks like it, yeah.
Here's the
There's a
plat.
plaque.
Oh, and there's the, to your right.
And Drew's not here. Very nice.
That's awesome.
All we gotta do is get it to him.
Well, I'd almost like to do it publicly, quite honestly. I know
Well,
he's probably not up to that, but,
Well, you wanna try and give it to him next month?
yeah, absolutely. I think, don't you? Wouldn't you agree?
Jackie?
Yes?
I saw a finger up.
Yeah, Jake and I were kind of
brainstorming about putting something out at the park with all of the past board members listed on it, so that, because those go home with people, no one sees them. So out of the park, there's no recognition for board members, either past or present, by any of the people that frequent the park. So we would like to see
No,
something
you sign it.
happen.
I signed
You
it
can
too.
sign it, yeah.
Hey, Jake, if I'm not mistaken, is it the 17th that you have a public input meeting?
Yep.
Would that be a possible appropriate forum where there would be more people there to recognize his service? Or not?
Let's do it at a meeting. Let me see if I can get Drew. I'll call Drew and see if we can get him at a meeting.
Yeah.
I'd like to have him here.
Yeah, like Jackie was talking about, we're wanting to get a permanent installation somewhere at Sunset Hill that'll have all the past board members recognized in a public place where people that visit the park will know, who's dedicated their time and their efforts and resources to the park system.
The wall by the restroom where people could see it.
Couldn't hear
Do
anything.
you have a list of who the park board members have been?
All past park board members? Would you have that list?
Oh, I can, but it'll take a while to dig through. I mean, I don't have to, I can't go and pull out of a drawer all the names. I'd have to go
Yeah,
back
just-
through.
Yeah.
What I'm worried about is I'd miss somebody.
You don't have it on an Excel spreadsheet?
I did look, since we talked, 1985 is when this body was formed. I mean, I can't do it in the next couple of days, but I can,
I've kind of forgot a couple of them, even on, I was thinking, I've gone, and everyone's, oh yeah, she was on the board, like Rebecca Donovan, she was on the board. Eric was on the board very briefly.
yeah, I don't know a better source than me trying to pull all those names out of the files, but that'll take a long time, and I'm concerned, especially the real short timers, that I would miss somebody. And if we're gonna memorialize this
We gotta get it right.
with names on a plaque, we gotta get it
No,
right.
that, just.
Stays with the plaque.
Keep it with the
I
plaque.
guess, I hate to do this to somebody, but the best thing to do would be to sit down with all the minutes of the board meetings
See when it changed.
and go through them.
You don't have an Excel spreadsheet set up yet?
This is, we started this before there was an Excel. No, it's like, I think I could do it from when I've been on the board, but it'd be before. I took Perkins' spot when I got it
GL 1200.
Who was that?
11 years ago. And then that time it was Bruce Jarnicki.
15, there's 25 years in between
It was
that.
Ruth, Rich, Dave Canright, Annetta, Rebecca Taberlin, and myself. Those are the 6 board members I started with. And since then, Eric's been on the board, Drew. And then it's been pretty consistent. And then this group, I did.
The board had 7 on it?
The board had 7 members. Yeah, it had 7 members at one time. Beyond that point, I don't, I think Dick Maxey was on the board, was he on the board for a while?
Yoder,
I-
Mike Yoder.
Yeah. Yeah, it would take, but I think it may not be as cumbersome as we think. It's gonna take time, but I don't think there's been, because like Rich was on it forever, and so was Dave, and so was Annetta.
There's a lady named Erin, what's her last name?
Oh, I forgot about Liz.
Sounds like this is a job for a committee.
I mean, I think, because a lot of them spent a lot of time on the board, there were a few that came in and out, but, yeah, look, see how easy that was,
Yeah.
She said,
Well, the only way to be sure is to read all the minutes.
18 years of minutes? And where's that?
Times
file at?
12 meetings, at least a year.
I mean, you have a.
You could break up those minutes, and each of you could take a couple of years.
I'm willing.
I'd help, I mean, I'll take from,
First of all, is there a place where all those minutes are captured, are there?
No idea.
I'd have to look at
File cabinet drawer upstairs.
it. I'll say, we're bound to have them somewhere. I'd have to dig through our,
I hate to say it, but I think I've got every set of minutes since I got on this board. I know who's got all the minutes, I would bet money on it, if he didn't throw them away, Rich Hudson. I would bet money he's got them, but I don't know if
Well.
he still would. I would think he would, because he.
Sounds
he took
like
an
you need to
meticulous-
make him your friend.
Yeah, Rich is my buddy.
Wow. That sounded like a gauntlet.
What?
That sounded like a gauntlet was thrown with that one.
Well, I think, are you thinking about getting a plaque? Is that the plan? Is that,
Kind of like when we're, schools will have them a lot of times for like past, principals or superintendents. And then we could add
Just name placards to it,
yeah, so we could add names.
yeah. A
Going
nice,
forward.
a
So
nice
it'd
one
be-
with the park logo on it.
Yeah,
Nice
so
little
it'd be
round thing
a
and.
big plaque, and then, yeah, it would have like the name plaque.
it'd be really cool if we could like
Every time there's a new board
get the timber from out at the
for years.
Sunset Hill and use it.
Yeah.
One of the trees they cut.
There you go.
Yeah,
That would
use-
use-
use
Oh, that would be
Well,
cool.
That'd be cool, yeah.
But now we've got a job to do.
Yeah.
First of all, we gotta figure out who they are.
And
And how many names we need, and how big a plaque.
And how big,
Yeah.
That's job one. Job two, once we get that, then we can determine plaque size, where we're gonna do it, how we're gonna do it.
Perfect.
So, who wants to be on the,
Find the name committee?
find the name committee?
I'm in.
I'll do it. There's two. Okay,
We'll find it.
now, we gotta see how far back the minutes go up, and then
Start looking for those.
start there, find, if you could do that for us, then we can move from there.
It's all public record, right? Should we find them, is it all public, is it public record?
It's all
Can we
public
find them in
record,
the
but
newspapers?
we used to, that wouldn't be, no, I don't,
I don't know.
I know a couple of
was
solutions.
this?
I could call Mike Houghton, he probably could spew off a lot of them. And seriously, he could spew a lot of them. Okay, we're there, and I see there is nobody here from NIPA. Doop, doop, doop. How's the railroad company?
How you doing today?
We're great,
Good,
how
how
are
are
you?
you?
Well, we had our last run for the year this past weekend.
It's a beautiful weekend for it.
It was a good weekend. I was in the hospital, but.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
I hope you're
nothing
better.
serious. But we had a good day, what I've been told, and we're gonna be bringing our buildings and all our little knickknacks out there in for storage for the winter, this coming weekend, so.
Might be a nice weekend for that, maybe.
The only thing I
Supposed to be.
want to ask about, there seems to be a problem when, well, we had a problem 2 weeks ago.
Issue, you have an issue.
Huh?
Not a problem, an issue. No, I'm just kidding.
We always do go up to the silo to use the bathroom, the work center.
Yeah,
And we've never had a problem. Well, there was people renting the building 2 weeks ago when I was out there, and they said, we rent the whole building, you can't use the bathroom.
Yeah, that's the public access, they can't do that.
So
So
I
we'll
just
find
wanted to
out.
bring that to you guys.
Yeah, they shouldn't have been
Yeah.
doing that, 'cause
They
that's a
put a
public
big sign
bathroom.
on the door, private parties stay out.
Oh, yeah, that was a no.
okay, well, you can do,
So
I
I
think
just
you can
wanted to
handle
bring that
this.
to you guys.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I'll address that.
Very sorry for that. I wonder if they'd stop the county cops from going in there though.
Yeah, they're good at using that.
They are. That was kind of the purpose for it being there too.
leaving it open 24 hours.
That's right. For them to use it and for their eyes to be out there.
Yeah, because when we get done with meetings at night, it's almost dark.
Yeah.
They're always coming in.
Yep.
Is that open 24/7?
That bathroom's open 24/7,
So there are police that come in and out of Sunset
Yeah.
all night?
all night.
I like that.
We never, we used to, actually, when I first got on Park Road, they closed Sunset at dusk. That's when people lived out there, and now nobody lives there, so we just leave it open. And hope for the best, which has been,
It's been
which
fun.
we have been very, very fortunate. We haven't had any major issues. So. You know what? That makes me, the haunted trail, is that going well?
Yeah, it went well. We had a couple snags the
Okay.
Friday, or like the Friday morning of the first one, some overzealous. I don't know if they were participants, I don't want to make any accusations, but we did have some things get spray painted that we had to remove and clean up. But we got it cleaned up. I talked to the guys at Abate, they were apologetic about it, and so I think we'll have a conversation with them, I think, going into next year with some better oversight on some of whoever they've got decorating the trails,
Okay.
just to make sure that doesn't happen again. But it was quick, we got it taken care of in a hurry, so we saw it, nobody else saw it, so
Excellent.
that was good. After that, there were no problems though.
Good.
It was popular, it was a big hit. It was, they had lines out the end of the park
Did they?
on Saturday, yeah.
Good, excellent. Okay, that leaves us to public comments. Does anybody, no? All right. Well, with that, I guess I will adjourn our November meeting. Please, everybody, remember to exercise your constitutional right and vote next Tuesday. And I'll see you all.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, yes, I will see you guys. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone, and we will see everybody in December. Not before.
And it must be getting close because my Cirrus radio, as I came in here, was already playing Christmas music.
I'm already in the battle with my wife to not put up the Christmas tree, so.
They've already got, I got up at Walmart, buy my lights.
20 Christmas channels to pick from on Sirius.
Take your pick.
To your heart's content.
I have no idea. This is our